The role of a husband is not a cultural invention. It is a divine assignment. It is not a title, it is a function. The moment a man accepts the covenant of marriage, he steps into one of the most sacred responsibilities on earth. Being a husband is more than providing shelter and paying bills. It is a call to leadership, to service, to love, and to legacy. When men rise into their rightful place, families thrive, nations stabilize, and the foundation of civilization is secured. The true strength of any structure lies not in its decorations, but in its foundation. Likewise, in the home, the strength of the family is not measured by the beauty of the house or the wealth in the bank, but by the character and stability of the man who holds the position of husband. A foundation does not shout, it supports. It does not control, it carries. The role of a husband is not to sit on a throne and bark orders like a king, but to lower himself as the bedrock upon which his family can safely build. His strength is revealed in how well he supports others, not in how well others serve him. A husband is the first to feel the pressure and the last to complain. Like the foundation beneath a building, he absorbs the weight of life's challenges, financial struggles, emotional battles, spiritual warfare, so that his family is not crushed under the weight. He does not shift responsibility to his wife, nor does he abandon his children when the stress is high. His presence alone brings security. His commitment brings peace. When a husband understands his foundational role, he becomes unmovable in crisis, dependable in chaos, and steady when everything else is shaking. Many men have confused leadership with dictatorship. But true leadership in the home is not about commanding, it's about carrying. A dictator demands submission, but a foundation invites trust. The moment a man begins to lead by force instead of example, he violates the design of his role. God did not create the husband to be a tyrant. He created him to be a servant, leader who goes first in sacrifice, first in forgiveness, and first in responsibility. His authority is not in his volume, but in his virtue. A real husband doesn't need to remind everyone he's the head. His life proves it. This kind of foundational leadership begins with identity and ends in responsibility. A husband must know who he is before he can truly lead someone else. He is not defined by culture, ego, or emotion, but by purpose. He must ask, what kind of weight am I built to carry? If the answer is, everything my family needs to grow and thrive, then he must accept the daily discipline of self-control, vision, and spiritual maturity. A cracked foundation leads to a shaky home, but a man who stands strong in character, love, and wisdom becomes the reason his home stands firm, even in the fiercest storms. Vision is not a luxury for a husband, it is a necessity. A man who steps into marriage without a clear vision is like a captain sailing a ship without a compass. He may have love in his heart and strength in his hands, but without vision, he is still lost. The husband is the head of the family, and the head contains the eyes. If the eyes are blind, the body stumbles. In the same way, when a husband lacks direction, the entire household walks in confusion. A visionary husband seeks divine guidance, not just for himself, but for those he leads. He understands that his family depends on his ability to see beyond the present into the purpose. A husband must ask himself hard questions. Where am I taking my family? What are we building together? What legacy am I leaving for my children? Without answers, he risks becoming a provider of things, but a leader of nothing. Provision is not enough. Direction is critical. A visionary husband doesn't just bring income into the house, he brings insight into the future. He speaks about destiny, not just desires. He plants seeds of purpose in his wife and children, helping them discover why they were born. His leadership is not random. It is intentional, purposeful, and rooted in eternal values. True vision doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the spirit. A man must first submit to divine authority before he can guide others with clarity. He must spend time in prayer, seek wisdom, and align his life with a higher calling. A guiding husband leads by example. He models discipline, faith, and responsibility. His decisions are not driven by emotion but by principle. He understands seasons, makes plans, and stewards resources well. He may not know everything, but he knows who to follow. That spiritual alignment allows him to lead his family with confidence, peace, and power. The husband's vision creates the atmosphere of the home. When he sees clearly, his wife feels secure. When he walks in purpose, his children walk in confidence. Confusion in a man creates instability in the home. But when a husband embraces his role as a visionary and a guide, he becomes the spiritual GPS of the family. He helps his wife bloom in her assignment. He helps his children grow in identity. He turns his home into a training ground for greatness, not just a shelter from the world. His vision becomes the bridge between where his family is and where they are called to be. Every woman enters marriage with seeds of greatness inside her, but it takes the right kind of man to help those seeds grow. A husband is not merely a companion, he is a cultivator. Just as a gardener creates the right environment for flowers to blossom, a husband is assigned to create the atmosphere where his wife's gifts, dreams, and identity can flourish. This means he must learn the unique design of the woman God entrusted to him. He studies her strengths, listens to her heart, and becomes the mirror that reflects back to her who she truly is, not just who she thinks she is. He draws out the hidden potential within her, not through pressure, but through patience, love, and affirmation. Cultivation requires intentional effort. You cannot expect fruit where you have not invested time. A husband who criticizes more than he encourages is planting weeds in his wife's soul. But the one who waters her with words of life, who nourishes her with acts of support, and who protects her from toxic environments becomes the reason she thrives. He doesn't feel threatened by her growth, he celebrates it. He understands that her progress is not a loss to his identity. It's proof of his success as a husband. A true cultivator doesn't compete with his wife, he completes her by investing in who she is becoming. A wife was not given to a husband to serve as an accessory to his calling. She is a partner in purpose. She carries wisdom, intuition, and insight that often complement what the man lacks. A wise husband will seek counsel from his wife, value her opinions, and respect her discernment. When he recognizes her as a co-heir in purpose, he empowers her voice and honors her capacity. A cultivated woman becomes confident, creative, and courageous. She becomes a multiplier not just of children, but of ideas, wealth, and vision. If the wife is growing, it is often because the husband is cultivating. If she is shrinking, the husband must check the atmosphere he is creating. This role also requires emotional and spiritual maturity. A husband must be sensitive enough to recognize when his wife is withering under unseen pressure. He must speak life when she is discouraged, cover her in prayer when she is weak, and remind her of who she is when she forgets. Cultivation is not passive, it is an active ministry of presence, protection, and praise. A husband who walks in this role becomes more than a provider. He becomes a builder of destiny. His wife becomes fruitful not because of luck, but because of love. And under his leadership, she blooms in places she never thought possible. In today's world, marriage is often treated like a contract, a temporary agreement that can be terminated when conditions are no longer favorable. But the husband's role is not built on modern convenience. It is rooted in divine covenant. A contract protects personal interests, but a covenant requires selfless commitment. A husband does not stay because it's easy. He stays because he made a vow before God. His word is not based on emotion, but anchored in integrity. When storms come, and they will, he does not look for a way out, he looks for a way through. He is a covenant keeper, not a man who runs when feelings fade. A covenant-keeping husband understands that love is not a feeling. It is a decision backed by action. When the passion is tested, when the romance feels dry, and when misunderstandings arise, his commitment does not waver. He chooses to honor, to forgive, and to serve. Even when it hurts, his yes means yes. His loyalty is not seasonal. He doesn't just show up when it's convenient. He stays engaged even when it's costly. That's the power of covenant. It sustains what emotion cannot. A man of covenant reflects the character of God, who keeps his word even when humanity fails him. The strength of a covenant keeping husband lies in his consistency. His wife does not have to wonder if he will still be there tomorrow. His children do not have to question if they are worth staying for. He is emotionally stable, spiritually grounded, and relationally faithful. This kind of man understands that real love is proven over time, not just in words, but in sacrificial actions. He doesn't just love when it's easy. He loves when it's hard. He stays when others leave. He builds when others break. He repairs when others reject. His home becomes a sanctuary, not because of perfection, but because of persistence. A man in covenant knows that he is not only accountable to his wife, he is accountable to God. His marriage is not just a personal arrangement, it is a divine assignment. When he stood at the altar and said, "I do," heaven recorded it as a spiritual contract sealed with purpose. That means even when no one is watching, he walks in integrity. He guards his heart, his eyes, and his behavior because he knows covenant demands holiness. He is not a man of impulse, he is a man of principle. And because of this, his presence brings peace, his commitment brings safety, and his love builds legacy. The role of a husband is not merely human, it is divine in origin. When a man becomes a husband, he steps into a position that reflects the very heart and nature of the Creator. He is not just a man in the house, he is an image bearer of God's character. This means his leadership is not about superiority, but about servanthood. His strength is not shown in how loudly he speaks, but in how deeply he loves. When a husband loves, protects, and guides his family, he reveals the same heart that God shows to his people, steadfast, faithful, and full of grace. A godly husband loves sacrificially the way the Creator loves his creation. He doesn't wait to be served. He initiates service. He doesn't love based on his wife's performance. He loves because it is his nature to do so. In times of conflict, he is the first to seek peace. In moments of pressure, he brings calm. Like the Creator who covers us with mercy even in our weakness, a husband covers his home with patience, prayer, and purpose. He is not perfect, but his heart is postured toward righteousness. His love becomes a mirror of God's love, consistent, covenantal, and unconditional. When a husband reflects the heart of the Creator, his presence carries more than authority. It carries healing. His words build identity. His tone establishes peace. His discipline is wrapped in love. He becomes the emotional and spiritual thermostat of the home. His children see in him a model of strength wrapped in gentleness, correction balanced with compassion. He doesn't provoke with fear, he empowers with truth. His wife feels safe, valued, and honored, not because he dominates, but because he protects the atmosphere of the home with a servant's heart and a shepherd's wisdom. This divine reflection also means he leads by example. He lives with integrity in private, not just in public. He walks in humility, acknowledging that his strength comes from God, not from his own ability. He is not driven by ego, but led by purpose. In prayer, he covers his family. In the Word, he finds direction. In worship, he finds strength. His leadership is not performative, it's transformational. And every day, through his words, his choices, and his love, he paints a picture of what the Creator looks like to those who live under his roof. The role of a husband is not for the faint of heart. It is for men who are willing to rise, to lead, and to love with intention and purpose. It is not a position of dominance, but a place of divine responsibility. To be a husband is to walk in the image of the Creator, to serve with strength, to lead with vision, and to love without condition. It is to build, protect, nurture, and guide with unwavering commitment. We do not need more males in homes. We need more husbands who understand the weight and wonder of their calling. Men who will lay down ego and pick up purpose. Men who will stand firm in storms, speak life into their wives, model integrity for their children, and carry the presence of God in the atmosphere of their homes. When husbands rise into their rightful place, Families heal, generations change, and nations are strengthened. So to every man who wears the title husband, remember, your role is sacred. Your presence is powerful. Your leadership is legacy. Do not shrink back. Do not settle. Rise to the level of the calling on your life. Because when you become the husband God designed you to be, you won't just change your home, you'll shape the future. Let the world see what happens when a man walks in his true role, not just as a husband in name, but as a husband in nature